Laziali all over the world. Lotito just said Lazio lost 11 against Candreva. These two help you understand how much Lotito and I guess all the Lazio fans around the world are disappointed. I'm gonna die. I'm so sad. Alistair, what can we say? I mean, Salernitana was bottom of the table. They didn't win a game. They hardly scored, and Lazio come and everything disappeared. Salernitana in the second half looked like Real Madrid again. And this is not the first time against Lecce. Lecce looked in the second half like Barcelona, Genoa, Bologna. We are able to transform small team in the best team in the world. How is this possible every single time?
Well, don't know. It's weeks like this. I kind of wonder why do we do a podcast? Like, why dwell on this, Vittorio? We could be doing something nice right now. We can have a nice lunch or something. The small team thing is probably the most frustrating thing this season. In terms the chances created being a big issue, the lack of goals is a big issue, the fact that the defense hasn't consistently been at the levels it was last year. These are all frustrating things, but I think that nothing frustrates fans more than losing games to teams in the lower half of the table. Reality is now, Vittorio, after 13 games, we are one of the teams in the lower half of the table. But I think the Salernitana game on Saturday is probably the hardest one to take because it's the worst result you can get in Serie A at the moment. They were bottom of the league. They hadn't won a game all season. They got the worst defence in the league. And yet, still, only score with a penalty and lose the match. So I have no answer to that question because nobody has an answer to that question. Why are we so bad against these teams?
And we have to be honest, Alistair. Lazio finished the first half ahead, and that was pretty much the only shot on target we had. Gila had a header on on a corner kick that the goalkeeper stopped easily. Then there was the penalty kick, and that's it. Lazio didn't have another shot on target in all the rest of the game. And we're talking about Real Madrid. No, Salernitana without Ochoa on goal. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, next time we have to play against the under 10 to score 2 goals. How does it work? I mean, do we have to play against year 1 to score more goals? I mean, this is not acceptable. We didn't create a single chance. And we know that a lot of our listeners will say, Ciro Immobile is done. Guys, Castellanos came in and he was even worse than Ciro Immobile. It looks like he was boxing instead of playing football. He started shoving, etc. He didn't create a single chance. And so, yeah, Ciro didn't play well, but Castellanos was even worse than Ciro. And again, it's Salernitana without the best player they have, Ochoa. And we weren't able to create a single chance. And you know, you're going to talk about Provedel, but let's be honest, Salernitana had 4 or 5 good chances. We didn't. Yeah. We deserve to lose. We deserve to lose against Salernitana.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And this is the problem, is that it's not just that Lazio are getting these bad results against teams they're favourites to beat. It's that a lot of the time these results, they're not like unjustified. It's not a freak result where, like you say, where Lazio dominated the whole game and we've been robbed and it's one refereeing decision or one piece of bad luck that's gone against us. And look, I think people will talk about the Guillaume incident and how he should have had a red card. And absolutely, yes, before you explode in one of your referee rants, yes, should have been a red card, no doubt. But regardless of that, I still think it doesn't defend the performance overall. It doesn't mean that if one decision goes against you before half time, you just completely write off the second half. It's crazy. And the lack of creativity is just a chronic problem now because, I mean, there's a few things we can talk about with this game in terms of things that have gone against Lazio with the refereeing decision, but also Romagnoli dropping out injured quite late on, Alberto being suspended. But like you've just said, it's Salernitana. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter because this is a team that's not beaten anyone this season.
To be honest, when I saw that Romagnoli was out and Hila was playing, I was a little bit concerned. He didn't start again. What was it? Last time he started was April, probably. So I was a little bit concerned. Then I said, hey guys, it's Salernitana. Really? Are we going to lose because Hila plays? That's not acceptable. And again, to be honest, I thought Hila played well. I thought he was one of the few Lazio players who deserve to have credit. You cannot say that we lost because of Hila. I thought he played decent. Nothing special, nothing astonishing, but none of the 2 goals or the chances Salernitana created was due to mistakes of Hila. So I was concerned about Hila, but he played a decent match. He's going to play again for at least another couple of weeks because the Romagnoli injury looks to be serious. But that's not the reason why we lost. And again, we have to talk about Kamada. You didn't mention that. Kamada finally was starting, finally without Luis Alberto. So we were all thinking, okay, now we're going to see the real Kamada. It's true that we hardly passed him the ball, but he was pretty much invisible against Salernitana. Again, I want to reiterate this. Against Salernitana.
That's true, but I did get a bit frustrated by certainly the commentary on DAZN in Italy here was there was a lot of talk about this. Oh, this team is not the same without Alberto. It's so evident that Lazio are not the same team and Alberto's not playing. Like, I mean, I think we all know that is true, and that's why Sarri's leaning on him so much that this season. But I don't think that it's true that you put Alberto in that team and you win that game comfortably. I just don't think the team works right now, with or without Alberto. It's not like in recent games Alberto has been guiding this team in the way that he was at the start of the season. Look, in the last 6 matches, Lazio have scored 4 goals, but 3 of them have been penalties. 1 goal from open play in 6 matches. And Alberto's played in 5 of them. So, okay, we can get frustrated with Kamada. He's had his chance and he's not taken it. But I'm sorry, the idea, the notion that Lazio are this team that plays on another level when Alberto's in the side, it's not been true for like a month and a half, 2 months now.
Well, we mentioned that, right? We said Luis Alberto was really tired, and you can see that he wasn't playing at the same level. But again, if we need Luis Alberto to beat Salernitana, I mean, guys, let's give up. I mean, let's get relegated. I mean, if we cannot play without Luis Alberto, we cannot compete in Serie A. This is unacceptable. This means that for Lazio, Genoa, and Coppa Italia, Luis Alberto has to start. I mean, I don't think Lazio lost because Luis Alberto wasn't there. Lazio lost because the players didn't play. They were so convinced that just stepping in the pitch, they would have won, that the result was red. Zaccagni got injured. He didn't do pretty much nothing. Luis Alberto. Cataldi was a disaster for me. So,
and also probably because they haven't prepared to not have him. This is the problem. It's what we've been talking about all season. You can't be relying on Alberto this much because there will come a point, whether it's for injury, exhaustion, suspension, whatever, suspension this time, but there will come a point where you can't play him. And that's why I don't think we can go in too hard on Kamada for this game and talk about, oh, this is a different team. Well, of course it's a different team. They've not had any experience this season with a brand new midfield of not having Alberto there. He has been the only thing in that midfield that has been constant this season. Everything else has changed all the time. So how can you expect to take him out of the team for the first time and suddenly everything works? And look, it's Salernitana. Again, this is becoming a theme of this podcast. So maybe just that alone, you should expect that team to have the quality to do it. But this is where I think it comes back to bigger issues. We're not talking about individual performances. We're not talking about form of individuals and selection. We're talking about the team as a whole not working. The actual strategic, tactical function of this team doesn't work at the moment. And that is the main problem. And Sarri, as a result, is kind of coming into the crosshairs a lot after this game. And speaking very honestly, as he always does. Now, that's something I wanted to ask you about. Sarri has come out and said, I would leave if I thought this was my fault. And with most coaches, I would think that's hyperbole and that they're just chatting bollocks, to be honest. With Sarri, I kind of believe it because he is he's quite upfront, quite principled, and I think that he might actually do that. So he doesn't think it's his fault, but he's also very clearly got no idea how to fix it because he does just keep saying the kind of same stuff. I don't understand why this team is going out on the pitch with this kind of mentality. I don't understand why this team is so different to the team from last season. Um, so at the same time, he's saying it's not my fault, but he's also saying I have no idea what to do about it, essentially. I don't know. Is there a bit of a contradiction there?
I don't know. I mean, I think these players have been convinced that they are so good, and they show it last year, that they don't need to focus anymore. I'm so good that I'm going to beat Salernitana just by playing football. And Zaccagni is not able to dribble past a single player in Serie A this season. Felipe Anderson has been dreadful. Cataldi, a disaster, I would say, against Salernitana. I think we mentioned this a lot, we need another club manager. We need an Angelo Peruzzi who step in the locker room and said, hey guys, you are rubbish. If you continue to play like this, I will send you to Primavera. And then you start to realize that maybe it's time to focus. We are missing that type of figure. We need someone who comes in the locker room, take Zaccagni and say, you want 3.5 million euros for the new salary. You're lucky if you still get paid in February.
Stefan Radu.
I mean, Radu, I think he's too much involved with the players. They're friends. You need someone who left football like 5-6 years ago. But let's be honest. I mean, I found it incredible that on one side, Zaccagni hasn't scored a goal and he's been embarrassing so far. And on the other side, the agent is asking for 4 million euros. For what? You have been awful. And if you want to say where Sarri has to be blamed, is the selection. I don't understand why Zaccagni started this game. I don't understand why Cataldi started this game. I mean, it was a surprise to see Zaccagni in the list of the players called for this game. We've been talking, who's going to start? Pedro Isaacson. No. Zaccagni is going to start.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the most frustrating thing about Sarri at the moment. Like, I'm not calling him for him to be sacked. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think he's a great coach, but the thing that's frustrating about him is that he does keep complaining about the drop in levels from last season to this, but he's just not really trying to do anything differently. He's constantly picking the same players, and I don't know how you can expect to get different results if the only thing you're really doing to change things is occasionally mixing the midfield selection up. And to be honest, a lot of that kind of shuffling of the pack in midfield has been out of confusion rather than anything else at times, it seemed, because we just haven't really landed on one combination that seems to make sense, or beyond that, if it's not going to be one combination, we've not landed on a clear idea of which combinations we use when. You know, is there one where we're chasing a goal? Is there one where we're being more tight? Is there one where we're trying to control possession? It's not very clear what we're using what combinations for. And like you say, players like Zaccagni, who have been underperforming all season, are still being nailed on, starting every single match. Same with Felipe Anderson, Ciro Immobile, Luis Alberto as well. I mean, he's very important for this team, but maybe he shouldn't be playing 90 minutes every week, because then you get the best out of him if he's got more energy and motivation to play slightly less. I don't know.
Well, I would agree with you. I thought Isaacson should have started against Salernitana. Then Isaacson come in and he's invisible. So, this made me think, well, maybe the best option was playing Zaccagni. Even though I think you have to give some opportunity from the start. And I mean, Salernitana was the best game to rotate a little bit players. So he didn't do that. That's concerning for me. But maybe he saw in the training that Zaccagni was playing better than Isak. Said, I really don't know this, and nobody has the answer. But now Zaccagni will be out, so I guess in the coming games we will see some rotation there. And talking about the midfield, let's be honest. If Milinkovic Savic was still in the team, I mean, I thought he was played every single game, Luis Alberto and Milinkovic Savic. So I think part of the rotation there is just because we lost one of the starters. And looking at our team of last year, he's the only starter we left. We don't have any more. Otherwise, probably we will be seeing the same 11 of last year, starting every single game. Again, I am 100% with you saying that it's not Sarri's fault. I think the players simply are convinced that after last year, they are the best player in the world and they're not focusing anymore. But maybe rotate a little bit more. I don't know. Cataldi Saturday was bad. He made just one thing good, and Roella never came in. Again, you put in Vecino. I don't think we needed Vecino yesterday, especially playing that position. But it's even true that you take off Ciro and Castellanos come in, and he's even worse than Ciro. So, I mean, you cannot say, hey, maybe this player should have started, because when he comes in, he's worse than the others.
I just on the attitude thing, the mentality thing, because that's something Sarri mentioned as well. I just don't understand how it's possible that you could still have that attitude, like you suggested of, oh, we finished second in Serie A last year, we're this great team. How can you lose to Lecce, lose to Genoa, draw with Monza, lose to Bologna? How can all these things happen to you within the space of 10 games, and then you still go in feeling that complacent, that arrogant in a match like that? I can't believe that they would be as complacent as that, surely. And we've just had an international break. It's not like these guys are all exhausted either. So,
but the example is Zaccagni, right? He's asking for a double salary, and if I was Lotito, I would have called his agent and say, "Hey, you're lucky you're still in the squad, and you ask for double the salary." Same thing for Felipe Anderson, who took like 2 months to accept Lazio offer. I mean, you're playing so bad that if you find a second division team that wants you, you're free to go. I don't think it's Romagnoli the problem. I don't think it's Luis Alberto. But the other players around, I think they are playing with a complacency and convinced like they should be playing for Real Madrid. And, I think Zaccagni doesn't believe that the blame is on him. He thinks I played well. The problem is Cheeto not scoring, the other one not passing the ball, etc. I'm justified. I don't think so. I think everybody from Provedel, we didn't mention Provedel. He saved us a lot of time, but Saturday, one of the main reasons why we lose is because he makes 2 mistakes. The second one is worse than the first one, but even on the first one, he should have done better. So it's hard to save a player from Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. And, this is...
And again, starting from Provedel, they're all asking for a new contract after 1 year. I mean, yeah, Provedel, you have been terrific. But this year, we lost against Genoa because of your mistake. We lost against Salernitana because of your mistake. So, not sure if you should be demanding more money, honestly.
I don't know. I think that players have a right to, they'll be led by their agents, but on the back of a season like that, and with Champions League and the increased revenue that comes in as a back of that, I think you can see why these things happen. I don't think it's as simple as just saying I have a much higher opinion of myself now because of that. But I don't know. I just find it, and I guess this is going to be coming across strongly to listeners this week, but I just find it perplexing, the whole thing, how after a break and recharged against the worst team in the league, it's possible to have a performance this bad. I just find, and we've been talking about mentality within this squad for how many years? I mean, probably as long as we've been doing this podcast. That isn't a Maurizio Sarri issue. That's
No.
just been there for a long, long time.
The only thing, Alistair, I would add is that it's incredible to think we had the international break. I think, what was it? Kamada, Marusic, and Lazzari went away for the international duties. And then we play against Salernitana, and instead of recovering player, we lose Romagnoli. We lose more player than we had before. This is simply incredible. I mean, how can it be possible that Romagnoli plays every single game? We have an international break. He's not called by the national team, and he got injured.
Yeah.
Casale got injured as well. He was back with the squad, and he got injured. We lost 3 players during the international break. How can it be possible?
Congrats for making it to the Euros, just squeezing in there. Vittorio squeezing into pot 4.
Wow, that's embarrassing. Well, again, it's what you deserve. You don't call Ciro Immobile, and then you struggle to score. I mean,
well, I mean, look, it's the thing is, all of this comes down to you can go around in circles talking about squad selection and so on, but the fact of the matter is that even without Romagnoli, even without Alberto, even without Casale, I've been saying since the summer that I don't think our centre-back depth is good enough. And lo and behold, Patrick and Gila are playing. And okay, we lose Alberto. There's a chance for Kamada to come in. The whole thing, though, is completely undermined by the fact that this game is against a Salernitana team that hasn't won all season. So literally, if you were going to pick one fixture in any competition this year, this would be the one where you would say, if we're going to have these issues, that's the game we want to have them in, and we should still be fine.
Not only, Alistair, because you mentioned Salernitana. Let's not forget, they were missing Ochoa and Dia.
Yeah.
Top scorer, best goalkeeper. I mean, it's like...
It's not even their best team.
They're missing so many players that you should say, okay, we start 10 men, then, we see how things go. Maybe we downgrade to 9. This should have been a 5-0 match, easy peasy. 3 goals in the first half. We sold all players and we focus on the Champions League. Totally disaster. I mean, I hate the referee. He made terrible mistakes. And yes, we should have been 11 against 10. The penalty was embarrassing, etc., etc. You didn't make one single shot on target against Salernitana. And they had so many players missing. They didn't have enough players on the bench. They lost. They never won a game. And here we come. And Lazio get the defeat. This is simply unacceptable. Again. And, Cataldi saying, please support us. No, you don't deserve nothing after this. Because it wasn't the first one. First time we lose against a small team. Okay, it can happen. You lost against Lecce. You lost against Genoa. You lost against Bologna. It's not a surprise. I could see this coming. We all could see this coming, right? This is Lazio. We beat Napoli away, and then you lose against Salernitana. I'm curious to see how many games Filippo Inzaghi wins with this club.
This is the thing, and that's why I think fans are really frustrated with the players, and Sarri. It's not all everyone against Sarri, which is, what often happens in times of crisis or runs of bad form. Everyone turns against the manager. And I don't think it has been a case of everyone universally turning against Sarri, because everyone can see quite clearly that this team is good enough to beat Napoli, to beat Atalanta, to beat Feyenoord, to go to Celtic and win. This team has got some really good results this season and played some really good performances. So we know that they're not this bad, which means that if they're playing this badly, it's because they're not approaching the game in the right way. And that isn't just on the coach. Okay, there is a responsibility of the coach to find a way to get his team to approach games in a different mindset, to get them ready mentally, to be out there, to be hungry, to go and get results in these smaller games. But it's not just about him. And I think that is why like you say, the fans were turning against the players a little bit, and I think the away fans didn't even want them to come over at the end of the game on Saturday. So it's basically all building up to Tuesday against Celtic, and this game that now is it's monumental for this season, isn't it? Because Serie A has become a bit of a disaster, and there's a long way back to try and achieve anything meaningful this season, which means like a good run in the Champions League can be the saving grace of the whole season, not just for the club, but for Sarri too, for the fans, for everyone. And that really all comes down to this game against Celtic, because there's a chance if we beat them that we're through with a game to spare if Atletico also win. And also, if it's a defeat, that the consequences of that would be massive as well. So, God, it's going to be a big one.
And I think that Sarri blames the fixture. I think he's lucky to play another game so early, because passing 5 days with this defeat, it would be tough on the players. So having the chance to come back on the pitch a couple of days later is, I think, very positive for the club, for the team. And I think winning tomorrow would be very important, not only for the Champions League, but even to boost a little bit this team. That we said it, the next 3 games in Serie A were games that we should have get 9 points. Obviously, losing against Salernitana is not possible anymore, but we need to win the next 2. And we're playing home against Cagliari, who just drew on Sunday. So, I mean, it's not going to be an easy game. We need to step up. So I think if we play good football against Celtic and get 3 points, I think this would help us even on Saturday. So I think playing tomorrow is going to be vital. Luckily enough, the Black Friday help is going to be Stadio Olimpico packed again, which didn't happen very often in the Champions League. So this will definitely help. My question is, would the fans boo the players, or would they support them during the game?
No, I think they'll support them, but it's because everyone knows the importance of this game. And the Feyenoord game, even though the crowd was smaller than we would have liked and much smaller than the one that's expected on Tuesday, the atmosphere in that game was incredible. And that was still at another point where things are going difficult. I mean, the whole season has been a bit difficult, hasn't it? There's not been a result this bad yet, but there have been several bad moments. So I think everyone knows the importance of this match, and so yeah, it's an opportunity to get behind the team, because I mean, look, say what you like about the Serie A season, having a good run in the Champions League would be incredible. It's only the second time in 15 years we've even been in this competition. The last time was during COVID, so even though we got to the knockout stages, which was a great result in itself, it didn't quite feel the same because of the lack of fans in the stands and so on. So yeah, it's a massive opportunity, and let's not forget, it's the most watched knockout competition in the world, the Champions League as well. So it's like a lot of eyes on Lazio, a lot of positivity around the club, a lot of ways of kind of attracting people to the club by doing well in this competition. So it's massive. I think that's why I just completely was perplexed by the lack of tickets sold for the Feyenoord game, even with the prices, because Champions League should be a priority this season. What's the point in every year going on about the top four, and then the only reason you want to be there is to be in the Champions League? Then you get to the Champions League and you're not that bothered because there's a game on the weekend that might get you into the top 4 next season. It's crazy. I've never understood that logic.
No, neither do I. We have to remember that Lazio has to win against Celtic and hope that Atletico Madrid wins away against Feyenoord, so we are already qualified. If Atletico Madrid draws, then we need to get a point from Madrid, or hoping that Celtic win the home game against Feyenoord.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's a massive game for Celtic as well, obviously. And to be honest, I think generally they've been okay. They got absolutely hosed by Atletico Madrid last time. I think what was it, 6-0?
Yeah, but they got a red card immediately, so it was difficult,
Yeah,
right?
but generally they've been a bit unlucky in this Champions League. I mean, as in they play quite nice football, but they just don't seem to have the kind of know-how to get results all the time. And I think we even saw that in the Lazio game. Lazio weren't particularly good in that match, but somehow managed to dig that one out. Celtic were really good against Atletico Madrid in their home game. So they are a dangerous team, and yeah, they're not out to it. I mean, they got a bad result themselves over the weekend. They drew at home to Motherwell, who are on a terrible run. So they've got a bit of a point to prove as well coming into this. And, you know, it could still be thrown wide open, this group. So need to avoid that happening. It would be so nice to go to Madrid for the final round and know that we're already through. I mean, imagine.
Yeah, it would be so important for us. I mean, I can understand that if Atletico wins, we are going to arrive second pretty much. But you have a chance. I mean, if you win against Madrid after winning against Celtic, you have the chance to finish first. But we have to focus on Tuesday. And to be honest, I'm not that confident seeing how Lazio is playing. We're going to have a lot of players missing. Zaccagni will be out. Gila will be playing again. Obviously, we're going to have Luis Alberto back. But this is a game where, Alistair, I want to see players really fighting on every single ball. They have to be the opposite of what we saw against Salernitana. And the funny thing is, in the derby, Lazio didn't play well, but we saw a team that fought for 95 minutes, that wasn't afraid of tackling a Roma player and things like that. What the exact opposite of what we didn't see on Saturday. So I hope we see players more focused, more convinced, because as you were saying, it's not an easy game. Yes, Celtic is bottom of the table, but they're a good team. It's true that away they don't play the same way how they play at home, but they're still a decent football club.
Yeah, I think that the last Champions League in the Feyenoord's game was really the blueprint for Lazio, because that's the closest we've seen this team to playing like they did last season, I think. You know, they took the chance when it came, brilliantly, actually, Immobile, that goal. Played pretty well in the first half, and then came under a lot of pressure in the second half and just had that organization, that solidity, that fight, that the right mentality. Everything in that game was kind of, although it wasn't, you know, wasn't one that kept people's heart rates nice and low. it was still, by the end of it, a game that had a huge amount of encouragement to take from it because of the way they fought, the way they defended, combined with actually being able to take a chance when it arrived. So they've shown there that that they know how to win these games. They know how to approach these games, prepare for these games in the right way. And Feyenoord are a better team than Celtic as well. So I think that if they can try and replicate that level, it should be enough.
Yeah,
but it's a big if, given what we've just seen.
Yeah, and let's not forget that the goal of the Chiro score against Feyenoord was the last goal we score not from penalty in the last 6 games, which is incredible if you think about it. And this, Alistair, tells you everything, right, about the struggles we're having in front. We cannot create chances, which is incredible if you think all the players we have there. It's simply unacceptable. So let's hope that we can change things tomorrow. We're going to be back Wednesday after the game to talk about the Celtic game, hopefully with better news than today. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Alistair, for being with me in a very cold Monday morning in Rome. Could be snow tomorrow. So take care, everybody, and we're going to be back Wednesday. Thanks.
Cheers.